Welcome to video number 2 for how to be a great teacher. So we're going to move on to this area about why be your best. Why even get to the position of making a choice to say, you know what, I know that I'm a good teacher, but I want to make it even better. And there are some really important drivers with these. And yes, we can say a lot of things like, it's about getting the best out of the students and so on, but I think even beyond that, it's about getting the best out of ourselves. I truly believe that if we learn to get the best out of ourselves in our job, it also means, as a consequence, that we learn to get the best out of ourselves in our relationships. If you're a parent, it also means that you get the best out of yourself in being a parent role, and if you're married, the best, in your marriage. So my experience, I guess, has shown me that if you put yourself in a position where you're constantly expecting the best out of yourself and you're achieving the best out of yourself, it applies to every aspect of your world. So how wonderful, just imagine how wonderful your life will be when you know that if you apply yourself to something, you're going to get the best out of yourself. You're not just giving it like a half-baked effort, you're doing your best. And that makes a massive difference to our students, because how can we expect our students to get the best out of themselves if we're not doing it ourselves? So it's so critical that when we turn up to a classroom, the students know by default, hey, the person that I'm listening to is someone that expects highly of themselves and achieves highly of themselves. As a result, that's the culture that we're cultivating here. Think about the opposite. So imagine having a teacher who comes in and is only doing a half effort. They're not doing their best. They're kind of doing things. Well, what message does that send to the students? That it's perfectly okay for them to do it. Now, here's the catch. As teachers, we tend to, because we do assessments, because we do exams, because we do assignments, the perception from the student is that they hand in a piece of work and then they're giving it to us, and we're effectively judging them and judging their ability to do something. So if we're not showing that we consistently do our best, there's no reason to expect that our students will need to do the same. But if our students see us consistently doing our best, then of course it's going to mean that for our students, that's the benchmark that they're trying to move towards. But it goes far beyond our students. One of the biggest things that you reach by doing your best, by being better than you are, by improving yourself, by going through this constant effort of improving. And in industry, they refer to this term called Kaizen, which I believe is a Japanese term to describe what can you do to consistently improve. Like, what's the next thing that you can do? So that it's never a case of you reach the top of the mountain and that's it. It's always a case of you reach the top of the mountain and then you're looking at, okay, what are the other mountains that I can now climb that I can see that I couldn't see before because I was down lower? Because that's a pathway to fulfillment. You feel fulfilled when you know that you're always improving yourself. Another thing, I mentioned this in the introduction video, but think about how many hours you spend at work. And I think I broke this down recently for one of our staff meetings. And it works out to be about a third of our day. So if you extend that, let's round it off and make it a third of our life. If you look at your world and you think, okay, for a third of my life, I'm not going to be my best. I'm just going to be mediocre. I'm going to wait for the day to finish so I can actually go and start my life. What a waste of time. It really is. And unfortunately, we have teachers in our industry where that's kind of the default way of operating, where they're not looking at bettering themselves. They're not looking at how they can be fulfilled and happy in their work. They're simply there to chalk up the hours and wait to finish. So if you're going to spend a third of your life doing anything, surely you're going to want to get the best out of that third of your life. If I know I'm going to spend 8 hours at work, that's a significant amount of time. In fact, I'm spending more time at work than I do at home with my daughters on most days, most weekdays. If you think about it, by the time I finish work, and this applies to so many people, by the time you finish work and you get home, it might be like 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. We put our daughters to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock. That only gives me a few hours to interact with them. So do I want to spend that third of my life at work not being fulfilled and not being happy? And of course, the answer to that is yeah, let's find ways to be fulfilled. Let's find ways to make it happy so that when I've got those few hours at home with my daughters, you know what? I'm going to make it really good because I'm feeling great about turning up home, right? I'm not just waiting for them to start my life. I've actually started my life straight away. So use that time, use that third of your life really, it's not productively, it's more about looking at how you can be happy and how you can be fulfilled. So many of our teachers are waiting for retirement. It's like they're sitting back and going, you know what, I only need 15 more years of time and then I get to retirement age and then I'll start my life. Like fair income, do you really want to go down that path? Just have a look at the people that have done that and they get to this age where they're so old that they can't enjoy life anymore and they've taught themselves that they're always having to wait for something to get them to be happy and to get them to be fulfilled. Why not just draw the line now and go, you know what, the time that I'm at work, I'm just going to maximize it and really milk it for all it's worth. I'm not going to sit around and wait until I'm 60 or 70 years of age before I make a choice to go, I'm now going to choose to enjoy my life. Let's just do it now. Really importantly, how can you inspire others if you're not inspired yourself? You know, if you're not being your best, it's hard to be inspirational. And our jobs as a teacher, in a roundabout way, we're trying to inspire students to love the subject in the way that we do. We can't do that if we're truly not inspired ourselves and if we're not being inspirational to others. So it's so important to come in with the attitude that, hey, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to do my best. Because doing that means that you're going to put in your best effort, and that's going to make the students in your class so much more happier and so much more excited about turning up to your lesson. Here's another way to think about this. What is it costing you to not be your best? So if we take the understanding that because we're human, we're creatures of habit and we kind of set up strategies for the way that we operate. And if we consistently operate at a level that we know that we're not choosing to be our best, that we're kind of being mediocre at everything, what is that costing you? In what other areas of your life are you finding that you're not getting the most out of yourself? You're not having the types of things happen that you want to happen. You're not having the relationships that you want to happen. It may well be because if you're accepting this as a standard at the work level, how can you expect yourself to do it anywhere else? So what is it costing you to not be your best? And I started with, and it's a good way to finish it off as well, how can you expect your students to not be their best if you're not being your best? So hopefully in this video, we've answered the question of why be your best. And it's one of these fundamental things that need to happen in order for you to be the best teacher, to be the best version of yourself, how to be a great teacher. And you can look at all the great teachers that you work with, and ultimately you'll probably come to the understanding that all of these teachers are operating at a level where they know that they're doing their best, the best job that they can. They're always putting their best foot forward. And that's what results in them being happier and more fulfilled. Come back for video number 3, where we're going to look at comfort zones and why you need to be able to challenge your comfort zone so that you can actually achieve being your best. Thanks for watching.